Hey guys.
Welcome to the check-in.
Welcome to the check-in.
So before we get into it, like y'all know, we got to tell y'all a few things.
Yeah.
First of all, we grown.
Grown.
So we might say some cuss words or whatever. And if you listen and you don't like cuss words, just pretend you didn't hear it.
Yeah, just don't listen.
Boom.
Boom. Also, we are not mental health professionals.
We're not.
We are just two people that went to therapy, and sometimes we listen to our therapist. So,
Yep, sometimes.
if you are ever in a moment where you feel extremely overwhelmed,
Yes.
or you're having a mental health crisis, please text the number 741-741. Text them home, and a crisis counselor will reach out to you and help you out and check in on you, and boom, all the things.
Woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
You ready to get into this content?
I'm ready to get into this content.
Boom, here we go.
Boom! Welcome to the check-in.
We already said hi to them.
Wow. Never mind.
Since y'all here.
Okay, let's jump into our content then, since we can't say hi.
We already said hi.
Let's skip the pleasantries and jump right into the things that'll make you uncomfortable.
Okay, so so today we're talking about how to create new boundaries.
How to create new boundaries. What do you mean by new?
So in a situation, perhaps you may be dealing with someone who is legitimately and honestly struggling to respect your boundary, and not respect in the sense that they're going, this boundary is stupid, I'm not doing this, but they're actively trying to do what you're asking them to do, and they're just having some difficulties, and you're feeling like, you know what, maybe I can find some way to meet this person in the middle. I like them, they like me, we care about each other, we respect each other. Let's see what we can do about this to make this relationship work.
Okay. I'm glad you explained that, because I was on a completely different page in a different chapter.
Where were you?
Oh, I was going to talk about, creating boundaries, like, after not having them for so many years. So they're new to other people, but they're the same to you. Yeah, I was on a different chapter, a different page.
Okay, well, now that we're all caught up.
Now that we're all caught up, meeting somebody in the middle.
Yeah, meeting somebody in the middle when it actually makes sense. So,
friend, how are you doing?
you know what? I'm doing pretty okay.
Okay, tell me about it.
I think in regards to this topic, if I've ever had to actually try to meet somebody in the middle with my boundary, it's definitely been a compromise on my part. And I will say that oftentimes when I try to create a new boundary, or maybe mold my boundary a little differently so that it works for me and the person that I'm dealing with, it often is just a super compromise on my part. So I would like to help you guys not do that, because that's just going to backfire. It's like when you take a number 2 and the water splashes your butthole like, it's just like, ugh, that's not what I wanted.
That without a bidet, or like, is that the toilet water? Oh,
and it's after you peed first. Disgusting. So we want to prevent disgusting things like that happening to your mental health.
Truffle butter. Anyway, yeah, I need help with this, because I don't know how to meet people in the middle at all.
At all? Like, not one little middle?
I mean, like, I literally just completely compromise my boundaries.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Like, I completely am just like, oh, you can't respect this boundary? Let me just throw it away.
Okay, we don't have, my feelings don't matter. This is fine.
No,
I'll just cry in a quarter later.
Let's just cry at night. Hey.
Well, we don't want to do that.
No.
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys, which I've discussed one briefly in our previous episode, where I was talking about, it was our relationship series.
Okay.
And I was talking about how I needed a lot of time to process. And my boundary is stay away from me when I'm upset, because I need time to calm down so that I don't talk to you like a demon speaking Latin. So what I did in that relationship was I still had my boundary, and I needed that to be intact as far as leave me alone.
Yeah.
But for that other person who's really struggling with, hey, there's an active issue right now and I want to solve this, but you won't let me because you need me to leave you alone. We decided that I was going to give a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a way for us to meet in the middle where this guy was able to think about, okay, at some point in time, I'm going to be able to talk to this person and it's going to be at this time, rather than just sitting there in the dark hole of my emotions and going, I want to fix this, even though I shouldn't have messed up anyway. But like, that's a different thing. So we're not even going to talk about that. But that was, that was one instance where, I had a boundary that I kind of molded a little bit differently just so that it would work for someone else, because you never know when one of your boundaries might be running up against somebody else's. And if you actually have a good relationship with that person, if you actually want to make things work and make sure that you're both comfortable and can, you know, deal with certain issues and move forward, then that's something that you may or may not have to do.
Wow, I suck at this. Okay, so I literally just roll over and play dead when it comes to meeting people in the middle. I'm just like, oh, there's no middle ground. Just
There is middle ground. Sometimes there's not. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Sometimes
mean,
there's not.
like I really struggle with it because, okay, for example, with my familia,
Take your time. Find your words.
like respecting boundaries in my family is like not a thing. So, I bend very easily. I'm just like, okay, maybe it's me being too sensitive, maybe it's me being too hard on them. Like, I'm just gonna give in a little. And that results in me just getting my feelings hurt. Like, instead of me having something there to protect myself and my feelings, I just lower all defenses and let them do it as they will, because I don't know, it's like I feel sorry for them that they can't respect my boundaries, which sounds insane when I say that. But it's just like, I really think I'm being too hard on them by protecting myself. So I lower my defenses and, you know, erase my boundaries, and, you know, I just end up getting hurt all the time. So meeting people in the middle is something I really struggle with, because I don't do it. I just let them walk all over me.
And meeting somebody in the middle, the prerequisite to that would have to be that that person is actually trying to respect your boundaries.
Yeah.
That's not for somebody who's like, hey, I asked you not to step on my J's and they step on your J's anyway. And they're like, well, don't wear J's if you don't want them stepped on. No, that's not somebody you compromise a boundary with, because they don't care.
Yeah.
So you always want to, you know, take the time to evaluate, is this somebody who's legitimately trying to respect my boundary? And is this somebody who is not going to take advantage of me, kind of, you know, being a little bit more vulnerable to the thing happening that I'm trying to prevent from happening by establishing a boundary. But I know that a lot of the inability for me personally to meet with people in the middle it was a survival tactic for me when I, in the past, would get into these confrontational situations with people. It was so much easier for me to just go, okay, I'm sorry, even if I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But for me to stick up for myself and say, please don't do this, especially if it's somebody, you know, I cared about and somebody who I really thought would respect my boundaries, I had to really decide whether did I want to, quote unquote, pick a fight with this person, or was it easier for me to just get my feelings hurt, go cry about it later in a corner, and then the next day pretend like nothing happened. And that was a survival tactic that I use regularly, because people generally leave you alone, quote unquote, once you're in a happy-go-lucky mood and you have, quote unquote, forgiven them for whatever stupid thing they did.
Yeah.
So that for me has been something that I've had to actively work through, going, okay, you're not a child anymore. You're not a teenager anymore. You're an adult. You have control over some of your life and some of your environment. So you need to help other people understand that this is my life. This is where I have control. And I can accommodate some things if you're willing to accommodate things for me.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be a give and take situation. If it's not, then that's not somebody that you need to start trying to create a new boundary. And maybe that's not the right words. Maybe it's morphing, molding,
Training, conditioning,
Super Saiyan
whipping,
4ing.
flogging. No.
My stomach just did a. Did you hear that?
We had brunch, ladies and gentlemen. It was divine.
It was really good.
It's also
Go check our Instagram if you want to see what we ate.
Anyway.
But yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you, is there anyone currently in your life who's had trouble respecting your boundaries that is actually trying to respect them? It feels like a no.
Is that a trick question? So, I don't... Okay. Let me think hard about this. Trying to respect my boundaries.
Like, actually hears you, says, oh, okay, you don't want me to put milk in your cereal. All right, I'm not going to do that. But then they accidentally made breakfast for everybody and forgot that you couldn't have milk.
So
That's a try, not like this is a milk household, so you're just going to have to figure it out.
in my lifetime, I definitely just have all or nothing type of people, like people that fully respect my boundaries or people that don't. And that's unfortunate and it's difficult to work around. But, you know, we'll talk about this in a later episode. Like, I've just had to lower my expectations with certain people because they're incapable of respecting some of my boundaries. So I had to expect less from those people. And, I mean, right now, for instance, with my family, I don't know if there's an effort to respect my boundaries. Like, I want to meet them in the middle, but there's no middle ground in sight right now. Like, I've done everything I could. I've reiterated my boundaries, like, plain as day. I had, you know, somebody just be like, you know, why are you always upset with me? Blah, blah, blah. And so I, like, wrote them a letter and I explained, like, this is why I am always upset with you, because you keep acting like this. And this is why it bothers me, because of something you did in the past that you haven't really apologized for or, like, acknowledged, like, the type of hurt that it gave me. So yeah, that's why I always have an attitude when I'm around you, because I don't like you all the time. I love you always. I will always love you, but, like, I don't like you. And in a sense, that could have been that could have been taken as me meeting them in the middle by, like, possibly reiterating my boundaries the way I did. But again, I can't say for sure that person, there was an effort for them to try to respect my boundaries in the first place. So I'm not always awarded with the opportunities to meet people in the middle, because it's either they respect my boundaries or they don't.
Right.
And maybe that's why I'm bad at it, because I just have this all or nothing type of relationship with people sometimes. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a me thing or like if that's a them thing, but I don't know. Like,
Well, I'm team cut people off, so I can't really blame you. Like, I do have a certain amount of patience for people, but after a certain amount of time, either you are capable or you're not.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be a learning curve for everybody. If you're into a new friendship, new relationship, meeting a family member you've never met before, whatever. When you meet people, you're going to at some point rub them the wrong way. You're going to at some point do something that they didn't expect you to do.
Uncle Ira horn. It's okay.
They're gonna do. I'll turn my phone on. Give me a second.
It's popular over there. Popular.
Okay, so they're gonna at some point you're gonna do something that's gonna irritate each other. It's just human nature. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But there's the response of a crappy person who just goes, I didn't mean to, so whatever. The person that just over apologizes and just wants to die on a cross. And then the person that's in the middle that's like, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I won't do it again. And some people need, when they're in that middle part of, hey, I didn't mean to do this and I really want to not do this again, but this is a habit for me. That's a different kind of story, because you're going to be dealing with other people's traumas, other people's survival tactics, other people's coping mechanisms. So of course you want to make sure that you're being kind and gracious to the people who are legitimately trying, not the people that are going, well, I was always raised this way, so this is what I do. Okay, well, you can do that away from me, so you can get away from me.
I know whose voice that was.
Am I telling on myself?
Yes, you are.
Oops. If you know, you know. But yeah, I don't think that I've had too many people that qualify for that middle ground.
Yeah.
Because it's not often, like you're saying, boundaries are really, for the most part, an all or nothing thing. Yeah. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's something that I agree with. And if you guys feel differently, just slide into our little inbox, DMs or whatever. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. But boundaries are very black and white and very straightforward. Yeah. So either you can abide by that or you can't. And if somebody is being vulnerable enough with you to tell you their boundaries and to ask you nicely, please don't do this, stop freaking doing it.
It's really hard for some people though.
But it's that simple. 1 + 1 is 2.
1 + 1 is 2. I don't know the jingle I was trying to say.
Blue and yellow is green.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, people really think you're asking so much of them, and I'm just tired of it. I'm just like, bro, I'm not saying don't breathe around me. Like, my boundaries aren't unrealistic or just
fly.
Exactly.
I want you to sprout wings to fly.
At all times, whenever I say you need to fly. I'm not saying that. I'm really just saying, hey, don't be a dickhead.
What?
It's that.
Why would you ask me to do that?
Because it's not nice.
Not nice to who? I've always been like this.
That's the problem.
A problem for who? Because you're the only one who's ever told me.
Because I have the balls to tell you.
Wow. So we're going to be disrespectful. Yes. Get out.
And that is how you gaslight.
That's how it goes. That's how that happens.
But that's how those conversations are. It's just like, hey, can you be a decent human being? And they get so offended.
Right. How dare you ask me to do something different?
They get so offended.
I've been alive for 3, 4, 5, 6 decades, and no one has ever told me.
But it makes you question yourself. It makes you second guess yourself and whether or not you are having realistic expectations for other people.
Right.
That whole... I worry that meeting somebody in the middle in the end does compromise your boundary, because you're not giving them an all or nothing option, So I worry that sometimes people will take advantage of that middle ground.
Right. Which is why you really have to, check your boxes and make sure who you're working with is somebody who's not going to take advantage of that, because anybody, taking... I didn't want to say de-escalating, but anybody taking some of the barbed wire off the fences of their boundary is going to allow for that place to be taken advantage of. So you really have to be careful with who you're being vulnerable for, because that's what you're doing. You're essentially making yourself more vulnerable to somebody who has already shown you that they didn't do well with your boundary. So you just really, really have to be careful. I think with my honey muffin, there's been certain things that, from an emotional and psychological point for myself, that were triggers for me.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that. I don't do very well with loud noises. And even us in the house, we loud
Yeah.
noise warning.
Yeah.
We do light warnings and
Light
loud noise.
warnings, noise warning.
But it really freaks me out. So there are times when he's loud and I have to distance myself, and it definitely initially was like, okay, you're just being loud, you're just being loud. And I had to understand that where he usually is, it's rambunctious.
Yeah.
So he's not being loud just to hurt my feelings. He's not ignoring my boundary. He's not just being out here like cuckoo bonanza just for the fun of it. So, bringing that boundary down a notch for him to be himself and do what he's used to doing where he's comfortable, but also giving myself room to go, hey, this is not good for me. I need to step away when this happens. And is that okay? I love you, but I'm going to be over here.
So how do you do that with work? Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to meet somebody in the middle because they just weren't respecting your boundaries at work?
Let me think. I really don't think that's been something that's happened at work, because coworkers are coworkers.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll meet a coworker that becomes a good friend and somebody that you have, in your circle for life.
Shout out to our producer.
Shout out, DJ Soul.
DJ Soul.
So sometimes you do have those opportunities to work at certain places and you make a lifelong friend. And I have a few that I've made friends with years ago and that I still talk to probably 4 or 5 days after they text me, but I get around to it.
No.
Those are people that you could, figure out that middle ground for a boundary, but the average worker, they're there to make money and they really don't care. And I had to realize that the people that I'm working with, they don't care about my feelings. They care about my productivity. They don't care about when my birthday is or that I didn't get sleep last night. They'll pretend because it's, corporate and it's cordial and professional to pretend like you care. But for the workforce, for me, no, there's nobody that I would do a middle ground with the exception of my work husband, my current work husband, and my ex-work husband. Those are only 2 people that I would have took real time to be like, oh, okay,
I'm gonna meet you in the middle.
This is bothering me. This is bothering you. So how about we figure a way to bother each other as minimal as possible?
That's a special bond.
That it is. And that's the qualifier for me. You have to be in my circle to the point where it is not a question whether you care about me and my feelings. Because if I have to question it, you're not worth me downgrading my boundary.
Oof, a word. Okay. Like a t-shirt. Anyway, no, that's
That was a good question, though.
Making me reevaluate my relationships with people.
Throw them away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm really struggling right now. I feel like this has been a year where I have had to aggressively assert some boundaries and
in every facet of your life, too. It hasn't just been on the work front or your personal life front. It's everywhere.
All things.
All fronts.
All things considered. And it's affected my relationships. It really has. And there have been moments where I'm just like, well, how can I meet this person where they're at? But it's like, it's too much. Like there is that hesitation where it's like, I don't know if they actually genuinely care that I'm hurting right now or that I'm in pain right now because of something they did or said. So it's like, it's not even worth it for me to try to compromise. Like, I just have to create the space because that is all I can do right now to protect myself.
Right.
And it has, it's really just been a weird year. Like, relationships, family, work, friends, just all things. It's been weird, and it's been, I won't say it's been ineffective, but it hasn't been as effective as I would like it to be.
Right.
There's still some kinks that I need to work out when it comes to boundary setting and sticking to them and, meeting people in the middle when they deserve it. But I'm at a point where I'm like, nah, y'all don't deserve it. Like, I have nothing more to give because I've been giving and giving and giving all these years. And the moment I tell you when something upsets me, that shouldn't offend you. Like, that shouldn't put you on the defense mode and start attacking me and like throwing low blows. I'm thinking we talking.
And that's the kicker. When you look, person, you hurt my feelings. No, I didn't. Wait, hold up.
And
wait
your forehead big, huh?
First of all,
I know this.
I don't know why you're yelling and why you're being mean. But for some people, any acknowledgement that you've hurt somebody else is pretty much the equivalent of cutting off an appendage for them. It really hurts them, and they're asking you, why are you holding me responsible for doing something that hurt you?
It's like when you call people racist on the internet, and they're just like, how dare you? You ruined my reputation.
You ruined your own reputation racist by doing what you shouldn't be doing.
Like, how about you be decent? Like, how about that? How about we try that?
No.
You sure?
I can't. I can't be decent because you already making me mad because you telling me stuff that I don't think is true about myself, and your forehead big.
And people. Just the attacks, the personal attacks. But people are ready for those truth moments about themselves. Like, people aren't ready to hear about themselves. And I feel like this year I've done a lot of telling people about themselves, and they just weren't ready to receive that message.
Because when that message comes from you, it's a feeling of, wow, I'm really fucking up.
I mean,
because you're so nice. So when it actually has to come to that truth moment, it's really what?
And
how long have you felt this?
And even the same goes for me. I offended somebody for the first time this year. I offended them, and I was so shook. I was like, huh? I'm incapable of doing that. Like, I really didn't know how to process that information. But I was like, you know what? These feelings are valid that this person has, and, you know, it really sucks that that was their first impression of me, you know? And so I did apologize, and it was a genuine apology. Still, you know...
When you are used to not bothering or offending people and it happens for the first time and you're in the wrong, it's so icky.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need a shower.
It's just like,
why?
Wait.
I'm so sorry.
You don't like me because of something I said. What?
And I get the defensiveness because the first thing my brain goes is, well, did you tell me that was going to be a problem
like,
for you?
You shouldn't have been so sensitive. I didn't know there was bitch being served for dinner tonight.
Okay, little Sophie.
So, yeah, I get it. I've been on the other side of that, like, for the first time. And I was just kind of like, okay, I got to check myself. All right, that's fine. Like, that probably wasn't cool for me to say. And regardless of how I said it, it was inappropriate and it hurt somebody's feelings. And so therefore I need to check myself before I wreck myself.
Hey.
And I need to just, you know, read the room sometimes. And I just was caught up in a moment where I didn't read the room, and I made a joke and somebody was just like, wow,
but no.
She's an asshole. And I was like, what?
Not me.
Not me at all.
Not I.
No. So I've been on the other side. I get it, but you know, it's been interesting with my boundaries.
I think that's That's all I got for this topic, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely took the lead because you are best at this boundary thing. You know, I'm still learning.
And I got my 4.0.
And I still got my training wheels. So
Sum cum laude.
thank you, Laude. So that's what I got. I'm still figuring things out. So thank you for your insight.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I've been on the stupid side of boundaries many a time, so I have definitely figured out what my formula is, and my formula works. If you don't fit in my formula properly, you're gonna get subtracted.
The stupid side.
You're gonna get subtracted.
The stupid side.
Stupid side.
Stupid side.
But yes.
All right.
So, y'all, takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Do not downsize, upsize, weird size your boundaries for people who do not respect them at all. This is only for the people in your circle who you trust, who love you, who will continue to strive to making you comfortable in situations that you have expressed vulnerability.
A word.
So, boom. But yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's a wrap. Let's jump into the next segment.
Next segment.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Trigger. What are we talking about next episode?
So next episode, we're going to be talking about how to react when you cross someone else's boundary.
Oh, I gave you a tidbit of that.
Sure did.
Oh, man, I should have saved that story for... Anyway, I'll say it again. It's fine.
Boom. Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that next week. Of course, as we always say, if you're not ready, you don't have to show up, but you can still like and share. Okay.
Save. Bookmark.
Heart. All those
thumbs
things.
up. Comment. All the things. And how are we ending episodes now? Are we ending it with a positive?
I told you I'm doing food.
Oh, remember, life is a vegan donut.
And even though they ran out your favorite flavor, the other ones are still boom. Really go check our Instagram if you want to know what we're talking about.
Shout out to
Cloudy Donut
in Baltimore. Heavenly place.
If you have a nut allergy, though, be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Make sure you tell them because they cross-contamination is real. But
if you're like me and don't have any allergies and you really ready to risk it all, go ahead and get whichever one.
If you're like me and you have many allergies and you're ready to risk it all,
okay, boo. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.